Hello everyone, Kay from Up and Away, and also DIY bookkeeping support for small business. Now today I want to go through understanding your profit and loss statement. So I'm going to share my screen. And here we go, hopefully, and slideshow from the beginning. So understanding your profit and loss statement. So this is session 2. Let's move on. So what is a profit and loss statement? Well, it shows what your business earned, spent, and the difference between the two, which is your profit. Typically, you run them monthly, quarterly, or yearly. You should run them really each month and have a look at them. Quarterly, often used for your business activity statement to look at those figures, and yearly, those are the figures that go to your accountant at the end of the year. So it's a key report to track business performance over time. So let's talk about revenue versus expenses and versus profit and what all those things mean. So revenue is the total income you get from your sales, the total amount that you invoice to your customers. So cost of goods sold. These are the direct costs to deliver your product or service. So that can be anything. And I often use the example of a candle maker or a, what are those things, the candle, the smelly things, maker. And the direct costs would be the wick, the wax, if it's the ones in the jar, then the jars. They're all the cost of goods sold. They are the cost of making that product. So your gross profit is the difference between those two, between your revenue and your cost of goods sold. It's called gross profit or gross profit margin. Operating expenses, more sort of fixed type of expenses and not directly related to making that product. So rent, wages, which can be cost of goods sold as well, a portion thereof. Marketing, definitely an operating expense. Things like subscriptions that you might have or any online platforms you use, such as maybe Xero, accounting software, or things like, what other marketing ones have we got? Canva. A lot of people use Canva. And then net profit. Net profit is the difference that comes out at the bottom of all that. It's your gross profit minus your operating expenses. Or you can say it's your revenue minus your cost of goods sold minus your operating expenses. So I hope that's fairly clear. And let's move on. So fixed versus variable costs. Fixed costs don't change with sales, such as rent. And salaries are a bit of a murky area. Some of them can vary with sales. If you've got actually somebody making your candles, for example, obviously if they're not making any candles, there's no cost. But if you look at your admin staff, they're there regardless whether there's any sales or not. So as I said, the example of the candle business, variable cost maybe $3 per candle. Variable cost increase with sales. You'll need more materials, the more candles you're going to make. You'll need more wicks, more jars, more wax. And let's say fixed cost is $500 a month for rent. So this is just giving you an example. So to continue with maybe another example, Let's say we've got a business with $10,000 revenue. Cost of goods sold is $4,000. So their gross profit is the difference between two. The difference between the 10,000 and 4,000 is 6,000, which is your gross profit. Now, let's say you've got some expenses, which include rent, wages, marketing, and subscriptions. Now, those all total up to $4,200. So your net profit at the bottom, what comes out at the end, is $1,800. So how can you improve your profit? How can you improve the amount of money that you're making, basically? You could increase your prices. Now, that's if the market allows. Often people don't want to pay more money. You could reduce your direct costs or your operating costs. Maybe you could look for a different supplier who supplies your wax if you're a candle maker at a cheaper price, or maybe if you buy more, it's cheaper. And you could try and boost your sales without increasing your overheads or marketing costs. Maybe a bit more Facebook posting, Instagram posting, which is free. Who knows? So what your profit and loss can and can't tell you. What it does show, it shows profitability, earnings versus spending, and your expense breakdown. So it shows how well your business is actually going. What it won't show you is your cash flow, your bank balance, or the timing of payments coming in or going out. So that's accounts receivable. So that's the money from your clients that you're invoicing them. And your accounts payable is what you are paying out. So there's a difference between the money that actually comes in and what you invoice the client. You invoice the client in most cases before the money comes in. You record an amount that you owe before you pay the money, more often than not. So you record the purchase of your wax if you're a candle maker before you actually pay it. So there's a disconnect between profitability and your profit and loss statement and your cash at the bank, and you really need to know that. It's very important. So let's give you an example again. Sarah runs a small online gift store. Her December profit and loss showed a spike in both revenue and shipping costs. She used this insight to plan better for next year's holiday season. So let's go back again to that one. So Sarah's gift store, spike in revenue and shipping costs. I guess she'd need to plan better for her cash that she needs to pay for things. She's getting more money in, but maybe later. She might have to have more staff to run the store because of the spike in traffic coming in. Let's move on to the next one. So landscaping business, revenue 20,000, cost of goods 8, gross profit 12, which is a difference. Operating expenses 7,000, net profit is a difference between the 12 and the 7, which is 5. The profit and loss revealed an opportunity to improve efficiency in subcontracting. So maybe the subcontracting costs were too high. So maybe the people they were using weren't very good. Maybe they could get cheaper people. Maybe they could use different equipment that will save them time. So looking at your profit and loss, can reveal things that can help you in the future. So back to the candle business, fixed rent of $500 a month, variable cost $3 per candle. Now, if you remember, fixed is usually the rent, variable would be the materials. March sales was 400 candles, and the revenue was $8,000. Variable cost $1,200, gross profit $6,800. So at the bottom, after all that, and I'll let you look at that on your own to make sure you can see how that is all calculated. Net profit is $2,000 and expenses of $4,800. So improving profit. Let's take a freelance designer. She raised her hourly rate by 10% due to skill improvements. Possibly software, using software if it's a freelance design. Switched to cost-effective tools for personal use, and hired a VA to free time for billable client work. So after looking at her profit and loss, she decided these were the things that she can do, wants to do to improve her results. So what the profit and loss misses. So let's give you an example of a florist. The florist shows $3,000 profit but faces cash flow problems. Customers pay after 30 days. Suppliers require upfront payment. So customers are not paying her till 30 days after she has supplied her product, but she's paying them straight away. So the profit and loss statement won't show you this. It won't show the timing of cash in and out. So you would have to use a cash flow statement for that, which we will come to in a later session. So just beware, your profit and loss doesn't tell you absolutely everything. And what I'd also like to do here is to show you, and I'll share again, an actual profit and loss statement. Here we go. I need to share my screen again. And share screen. And here you go. This is a profit and loss statement of 0. It's off the demo company, so the figures are not real, but it gives you an idea of what that looks like. So all those figures I've been talking about, I think they make more sense when you look at them in this format. So here you've got your income, your sales, then you've got your cost of sales, your purchases, and your gross profit. Any other income, which is just interest, and then your expenses are broken down for you. So these are all the figures that you need to look at every month to see how your business is doing and to see what improvements you could make. So I hope that has been helpful, not too confusing. If you need more help and advice or have questions, reach out to me. You can also go to my Do-It-Yourself Bookkeeping Support Facebook group and ask me questions. So until next time.